Welcome to the Doing All Right podcast presented by our friends at Prize Picks.
And we are back with a part 2 edition of our Monday edition of the Doing All Right. Me and Brian got a little bit, what's it called? On paper?
On paper.
We're going to finish on paper today.
On paper.
We're going to finish on paper today. First of all, we appreciate y'all for being here. Love y'all to pieces. We appreciate the reception and the feedback that y'all give us. Drew Fabianic was on the couch yesterday. You know what I'm saying? Y'all seem to love on that episode. We appreciate y'all for tapping in and commenting and all that. We're going to keep doing things of that nature. You feel me? So we appreciate y'all. Love y'all to pieces. Before we get into on paper, Brian, I want to run something by you.
Okay.
I just want to it ain't even a question, really. That's something else I do when we have guests. I don't even be asking questions sometimes. I'm like, hey, man, this is what I think. What you think? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I can say, I think the thing I enjoyed about, because I'd worked with Drew, I enjoy the stories. I enjoy the behind the scenes. Yeah. How did that happen? There's, in Cowboy Nation, we tend to get caught up in, like we say, oh, well, this happened. This is what happened. That's what happened.
Yeah.
I always like to get to the bottom of why something happened.
Yeah.
When you get somebody like an Ed Werder in here who's talking about Jimmy Johnson, there was things I learned. I didn't know about that Jerry, I thought Jerry initially was the one. Jerry initially said it. Lace smoothed it out. Jimmy was the one that basically told Ed and Rick Goslin, I'm done.
Yeah.
It wasn't Jerry. It was like Jerry kind of came to his senses, but it was Jimmy that gave Ed and Rick the information. The whole thing with when we had on a Dave Campo, talking about some of the things that the head coach went through when we were all together.
Yeah.
Drew Fabianic, the Johnny Manziel stuff, I think is fascinating because there are times in that room, Drew lived it with Quincy Carter, where they cleared the room of the scouts and they determined where they were going to put Quincy Carter on the board. Yeah. I tell people that story and they're like, get out of here. So I like to go back and kind of relive. There's things that happened throughout the 30-some-odd years that Jerry Jones has owned this team that kind of need to be explained, by the people who actually lived it.
That's hard.
I think that's where I get a lot out of. He's talking about the Zach Martin and what happened with Ryan Shazier, and then Manziel's part of that. And Jerry, I don't know if anybody's ever been on Drew's ever or anybody else has ever said when they were handing the card in for Zach Martin, Jerry said, wait, damn it. Down. Everybody sit down. We ain't handing that card in yet. That's the kind of stuff that happens in a draft room. And you're kind of like, wow, that's pretty cool. Jerry had that kind of thought about Johnny Manziel to the point that the room had to take a step back to get it back to where it needed to be. So I'm fascinated with our guests and the questions that we're able to ask these guests.
I got a thought about something that he said yesterday.
Sure.
And this thought going to branch into 3 separate thoughts.
Okay.
And then we're going we'll probably take a break at some point or something. And then we're going to talk about on paper there. You asked Drew about checks and balances yesterday.
Yeah.
You asked him about checks and balances yesterday. Somebody said something in the comments. I don't know if it was on the short or on the page. I forgot where I saw the comment at, but we really read comments.
I do, I if you give a good comment, I like it, or I comment about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And somebody was like, I wonder who was vouching for Paxton Lynch and Connor Cook. You know what I mean?
That's fair.
So when he was talking about checks and balances and things of that, you mentioned earlier.
I mentioned checks and balances.
How do we hold guys accountable? For
I was asking, if you're a scout and you keep missing picks, where's the checks and balances there?
So somebody, you told me Sean Payton can get credit for vouching for Romo or whatever.
Absolutely,
right? Wade Wilson and then Dak is da da da.
Yeah,
man, I wonder if somebody's. Like, I want to know if somebody was fighting for Paxton Lynch. Because I know Jerry on his own wasn't that excited. Somebody had to fight for him.
Right.
And Connor Cook, for that matter.
Yeah.
Right? Michigan State funny enough. Brian, I wonder in those situations when and there's two more branches to this, checks and balances. When somebody fighting for Paxton Lynch and Connor Cook,
what's their argument?
Not even what their argument is, but in 4 years when they're not in the league,
right?
Do we revisit you and be like, yo, fam?
That's where, listen, you're looking at a guy, too, that was wrong about Paxton Lynch.
Yeah.
I was wrong about Paxton Lynch. You know, where I didn't know about Paxton Lynch, instead of being first in, last out into your facility, he was last in, first out. He was one of those guys. Mm-hmm. He wasn't a quarterback that was willing to do everything in his power to be good at the position. Mm-hmm. He didn't work at it. He didn't study. You know, these are the things that you and I talk about when we work on the draft.
Yeah.
What are the advantages we have? Yeah. Film. What are the disadvantages we have? Medical and interviews.
Paxton Lynch was mobile, big arm.
Yeah. You watch the tape, and I could see somebody fighting for Paxton Lynch. Yeah. I could see it. I could also, like, if I knew that if I talked to people, if I talked to the trainer at Memphis, and I said, what about this guy? Yeah. Oh, geez, don't.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
We would have known.
Yeah. Yeah. You'd have known. But like, if you have a quarterback, if you have a quarterback that's not willing to work, don't draft him. Yeah. Don't draft him. But somebody in the Cowboy organization, and you're right, convinced the general manager, we need to get back in the draft. You know, and the fact, I felt a little vindication early when John Elway took him at Denver in the round. I'm like, oh, maybe I wasn't wrong about that.
And the word is Jerry was hurt about it. Like Jerry really
wanted Paxton Lynch.
And Connor Cook.
Yeah. Damn. So that's that's something that, you know, in our 58-minute interview, that was something. I mean, I need to ask Drew that. Like, where were we on the Paxton Lynch stuff? Mm-hmm. And maybe I could circle back and fill in the blanks for us there. But it's a great question because Jerry ain't going to Memphis to scout Paxton Lynch. Mm-hmm. But people are telling Jerry, hey, this could be our guy. Yeah. And I have a feeling you get coaches involved in this one too. You know, you get coaches involved, and maybe it wasn't Wade Wilson. Maybe Wade Wilson had his sight at the time on Dak Prescott, and he's like, "Well, wait a minute, guys. Because I've been a part of drafts before over there, where Maurice Cawthon, the running back coach, said, well, these backs that we're looking at, they're the same as Steven Jackson.
Sure.
Which is, okay, really? And then all of a sudden, Parcells and Jerry are like, okay, we could trade the pick. You know, we could trade. We'll sure, Buffalo, you could have this pick.
Yeah.
We'll take your next year's one.
Yeah.
You know. But that's wrong. Yeah, that's how coaches influence draft rooms. And that's why I was asking Drew, you work on it, and Drew crisscrossed the country. You know, Drew was he saw every single player on their draft board. Mm-hmm. So, you know, when you get a coach that comes in and says, oh, I don't think, no, I don't think so. I mentioned that offensive tackle from Penn State, Connor McGovern?
Yeah.
Line coach didn't want anything to do with him. Sure. And they still took him, and the line coach, we're good. We're good. I don't need this. You know, Connor McGovern turned out to be a pretty damn good player.
Speaking of which, on this second branch of this question, I'm saying, man, Drew Fabians was talking about, we was talking about tackle tax.
Yeah.
And overpaying for tackles.
Yeah.
He was like, man, them West Coast scouts, them Southeast scouts, you know what I'm saying, them cats that got Bama and Florida and them, and they, those dudes can typically scout because they got a bunch of schools. Mm-hmm. He talked about the dudes in the Northeast, maybe they miss on some picks because they ain't got a whole bunch of schools. It took me to a time where I was doing a draft show this year on DallasCowboys.com, whatever. I was doing a draft show. I don't know if you was in the room or not, but it was day 3, and we were looking on the War Room cam, and we were trying to figure out who the pick was, and we saw the Northeast scouting there. Yeah. So we're all putting our thinking caps on and all that. And Drew just said yesterday, these two things aren't connected. I ain't putting words in Drew's mouth. But Drew said back in the day, tackle tax, some Northeast scout was like, hey, I got a first round grade on a tackle. And they're like, nah, you ain't seen enough good tackles because you're the Northeast scout. So this was years ago. Mm-hmm. Fast forward in 2024, right? We saw the Northeast scout over there. Mm-hmm. We saw Penn State. So we thinking Penn State or something, right? And I'm thinking, man, is it Katron Allen or something? Running back? Yeah. Singleton maybe, you know what I mean? I'm thinking one of the Penn State
You're going through
players.
Every Penn State guy in your head.
Every Penn State guy.
But the tackle.
I never would have thought.
Yeah.
I never would have thought that Drew Sheldon would be the pick.
Sure.
With your first fourth.
Yeah.
And Brian, sure enough, you put him back on one. Sure enough, Drew Sheldon's the pick. All right, the draft is over. Yeah. But when Drew Fabian is sitting right there, we fast forward again, May 19th or whatever. Drew Fabian is sitting right there, and he say, hey, man, you know, these area scouts be hyping their guys up a little bit. Back to checks and balances, Brian.
Yeah.
And you can educate me on this. Let's say I'm the Southeast scout.
Right.
I watch all the Alabama, Mississippi, Florida teams, whatever, right?
Yeah.
Just because that's my area, does that mean that I don't watch Penn State guys?
What happens is you might catch a Penn State guy when we get
First Bama or something.
When we get all together.
All together.
Yeah. For example, we will sit down as the way it will work is a player's name will be called, and then let's do example Donovan Ezeraku.
Donovan
Ezeraku, Boston College.
Yes, sir.
The Northeast scout will then present Donovan Ezeraku to the group. And then what happens, you might be scouting the West Coast. Mm-hmm. You haven't seen Donovan Ezeraku play ever.
Yeah.
So Northeast Scouts presents Drew Fabianich over the top to present, and then maybe another cross-checker scout that has outside linebackers or defensive ends will present.
Yeah.
So you have three reports going in. So your first exposure of Donovan Ezeraku as the West Coast scout will be sitting in that room listening to Scout, Drew, and a cross-checker. Now, they have it where they have certain guys have certain positions. And we're going to get on the show sometime Tom Siskowski, who used to do he used to do the Will McClay job. And Tom was an offensive line cross-checker. As not only he was a West Coast scout, but they gave Tom the offensive line at the time. Mm-hmm. So Tom's evaluation, so he was one of those guys. But your first experience with the player, presentation, let's watch the film with Jerry. Then that's where you get, oh, okay, I get Donovan Ezeraku, okay. Man, he is better than my USC guy. He's better than my Washington guy. He's better than my Oregon guy. He's not as good as my San Diego State guy.
Question, you're presenting that to Jerry. Is that more of a highlight tape, or do you watch 3 games with Jerry?
Jerry, it's broken down. It's not just a highlight, but it's broken down like you have a run of the quality plays or good plays, and then you have bad plays. So what you do instead, the game is already broken down for him, like play, like a corner. A corner you'll get every time the ball goes in his direction.
Targets, first down.
Tackles, missed tackles, you get all that. Yeah. So you have a feel like ball keeps going. It's like, it's you and I watching McCoy.
Yeah.
And it's broken down in a way where every time the ball is thrown at McCoy, it's play after play after play. So you see the good and the bad.
Yeah.
Instead of having to fast forward. Oh, here's the ball at him. Mm-hmm. But you could have a deal too where you could break it down now where you get an edge rusher, Donovan Ezeraku. You get all his pass rushes, and then you get all his run defense. Mm. They got it broken down to where rush and run defense. So you could kind of see it that way, and you're like, oh, okay. So you're not buzzing through the film. There was a time we used to have to buzz through that film. Yeah. I mean, you're like nowadays, because we don't have it broken down, we have to buzz through some defensive backs where the ball's not going their direction, where teams now have it broken down where you can watch play after play after play of attacking that guy. But that's your first experience.
Sure. Let's take a quick break to criticize the system, and we're going to be right back.
This episode is brought to you by our good friends at Prize Picks. Prize Picks is America's #1 sports picks app. And it's really simple to use. You just pick more or less on a few player stats, and that is your lineup. You're looking at things like points, yards, strikeouts, and you decide, is this player going to go more or less than that number? It's available in most states, including the great state of Texas, so you can jump in and play. If you're new, download the Prize Picks app, use the code HMA, and when you play your first $5, you get $50 in lineups instantly. And you can follow along with me as I play over on Crown Media. And we're on a little bit of a winning streak right now. So you can see my picks before the show, ride along with me with what I'm playing. All right, let's get into those picks. I mentioned we're on a little bit of a hot streak here on our program, and let's go with Ketel Marte of the Arizona Diamondbacks. Let's go more than 0.5 hits. Let's go with Winsel Perez of the Detroit Tigers. Let's go more than 0.5 strikeouts. And let's go with a Dodger. Let's go with Andy Paez. Let's go more than 0.5 hits as well. Again, that's Prize Picks. Use the code HMA, play $5, and get 50 in lineups. Good luck.
Brian, I think that's how you miss on players.
Could be.
I think that's how you miss on players.
So you're saying you don't get a feel for the game?
We watch the entire game.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And we watch all the players.
Right.
Now, that's probably their way of getting...
But the scouts, when they go to the school, do it our way.
Yeah, but...
So when they go to... When you're West Coast scout, you roll into USC, when you sit down and watch tape, you're watching the tape.
Yeah.
So you're in there with other scouts, and whoever has the clicker controls the day. Yeah. So, like, you're sitting as a scout, and you go, could you run that back, please?
That's why teams suck at drafting, Brian, because we may not be able to get to 600 players.
Right.
But who the hell needs 600 players? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But if everybody has a clear idea of the top 250, let's just say top 250, and we all watched them.
Yeah.
Now we can probably debate more clearly. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. What if all your area scouts, what if they not O-line guys? Yeah. You scouting the Northeast guy, but your O-line guy is your South guy.
Yeah.
The best O-line dude you got in the room, but he just happened to cover the Southern guys.
Right.
But you don't get his opinion because he's fooling with them. You know what I'm saying?
Well, yeah, that's you make a good point. I
think that's how you miss. And if I'm really vouching for my guy, because I've learned this, I'm no scout, but I've learned listening to Brian Broaddus and Drew Fabianis, y'all got tricks to get y'all guy.
Oh, yeah.
Y'all got sneaky ass ways to get y'all's guy.
We sure do.
So if I'm Northeast scout and I love Drew Shelton,
man,
let me put together this tape for Jerry, but I might leave out the Ohio.
No, you can't do that.
You can't do that?
No, you can't.
Man, walk me through it, Brian, because I'm learning something. I'm learning on the fly, Brian.
I mean, there's a guy that puts together the tape. Rich Beam is Chris Beam's brother at the Cowboys.
I was about to make a joke that that's Chris Beam, brother, but cool. Okay,
it is. It is his brother.
Okay.
And he works in the scouting department. They put together the tapes.
Okay.
So there's an independent body putting together the tape. An independent. So, yeah, if you want to, I'll tell you this.
I know
what was our player, Barr, of the UCLA?
Anthony Barr?
Anthony Barr.
Yeah.
I remember walking into Will McClay's office one night, and this is when Anthony Barr was drafted out of UCLA. And I knocked on Will's door. I saw his light on. I walked by and I knocked on his door, and he opened up and he said, "Come on in." And I sat down. I go, what are you watching? And he goes, "Anthony Barr, putting together an Anthony Barr tape." And I'm like, putting together an Anthony Barr tape, and he goes, "Yeah." He goes, "These SOBs don't believe that he can do this, and I'm proving to them they can."
Yeah, I'm like that.
So he's like, they're fighting me that he can't do this, and I am showing them. Tomorrow, I am going to say, here, you guys don't think he can do this. I'm about to show you he could do this.
Probably drop back in coverage or something.
Yeah. It was something, and we're just kind of sitting there. I'm watching. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. But yeah, you have to be fair about it. You have to be able to. You don't want to be a guy that's leaving out plays.
Yeah.
Because somebody will call you on it. Yeah. Like, I think it's really cool when we have a chance to interview players after the draft and you ask a kid, that Michigan game, I saw you, and that you could feel the kid like, oh, wow, someone's really studying my tape. Yeah. Someone's really studying what I'm doing here. Yeah. But you have to, you do not, because somebody in a room will call you out. Wait a minute now, where's the pit tape?
The Arvell Reese kick.
Yeah, where's the pit tape where so-and-so is, where's the Aaron Donald tape where he's dominating, our guy here?
Okay. Because I asked Drew that yesterday, and we're taking a long time on this, but I think this is fascinating content right here. Look, we don't get tired of content right here.
Yeah,
we ain't running out. Yeah. But Drew, I was like, yeah, Drew, y'all get into fights, and he was like, nah, not really. We have to come to an agreement.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And if I'm the scout for the Cowboys, you got a lot of faith in me. Drew don't know my body of work just yet.
Oh, no, he knows your body of work.
Shouts out to Drew.
Yeah.
But I feel like I would be fighting for the board placement.
Yeah.
For Maris Leofold that high. It ain't even got to be damn Drew Shell, because it sounds like I'm beating up on Drew Shell. Yeah. For Maris to be that high. Rest in peace. For Marshawn to be that high.
Right.
For some of these, like, how did we keep this? For Sam Williams to be that high. But see,
that's what happens to you. That's what happens. You go into a meeting with an idea of open mind, don't have an agenda. Let's put these players where they need to be taken. Mm-hmm. And you will go in there and fight. Sean Payton did it.
You think
Sean Payton, real quick, Sean Payton did it with Drew Henson. I watched Sean Payton, sat next to Sean Payton in a meeting with Parcells and Jerry and everybody and Jim Garrett. Yep. And Jim Garrett, he's the next Troy Aikman. I'm doing Jim Garrett voice. Yeah. He's the next Troy Aikman, Jerry. This kid can play with the best, And Sean Payton leans over to me and goes, "We're effed. We're effed. That's all Jerry has to hear. Next Troy Aikman. We're effed." And you're right. Sean Payton stood up in the room and said, "I would not do this. I would not do this with this guy. I would not do this with Drew Henson. I would not sign him. I would not do this." And they're like, "Well, why?" Well, because. But what happens is you get beat in meetings. Yeah. You're a guy, and I'm saying this respectfully, you're a guy that would challenge everything about it in the right way. And at the end of the day, you would be so beat down because you feel like I'm losing every single one of these fights. Mm-hmm. And the thing that keeps you coming back is that when they are drafted and the guys do have success or they do fail,
I told you.
You wear that. Yeah. Like, I've had scouts come in and tell me, "Well, man, we liked it." No, you didn't. Mm-hmm. No, you didn't. Would you like me to show you the notes? Would you like me to show you the notes? Parcells kicked me out of the room taking notes. I used to take notes about every single player, what was said about that player. Yeah. Just because I wanted it to be known that when it came time to evaluate the scouts.
Ass covering. Yeah.
Watch Lombardi.
Yeah.
All you other MFers didn't like him. Mm-hmm. Watch Lombardi did. You didn't listen. He fought. This is what he said. Or, hey, wait a minute. Voch liked this guy. It didn't work out. You guys were right. That's how that works. That's the checks and balances. But what happens is sometimes, and I think Drew talked about it a little bit. I think he did. That they evaluate you on the actual round, where they need to evaluate you on the actual. I had a scout tell me, a guy who came in and replaced us in Philadelphia, and the scout came in and said, John Goler was his name. He passed away not a while back.
Rest in peace, John
Yeah,
Goler.
John came in and said, "You just had the worst draft in the history of the National Football League." 1998, the Philly draft. I said, "You think you want to give it a few years? Don't you think you want to give it a few years?" He's like, "No, I know it. I know you had the worst draft." I'm like, okay. 4 of the 8 picks we had made the Pro Bowl. That's the draft. The next year, Andy Reid came in and drafted Donovan McNabb, and boom, Philadelphia won this division for like 14 straight years.
Yeah.
Philadelphia then became a.
Sure.
But that's what I'm saying. To your point, and to Drew's point, don't grade me on where the guys were taken immediately after the draft. Grade me in 2 years, 3 years. When they fought for Mozzie Smith, for as good as Will McClay has done, we have video of him fighting for Mozzie Smith.
Yeah.
We have video, Bordelon or Mozzie Smith.
Yeah.
We have video of that. We need this guy, but, we have video. Will McClay has to wear that one.
He does.
But that's where now in 2-3 years' time, we know that. That was a horrific pick. Yeah. The taco pick, horrific pick. So I don't, to me, if I was running an apartment, I'm not going to evaluate Voch Lombardi, West Coast scout on this. I'm going to give you a couple of years. But if you're consistently missing on players, I'm getting rid of your ass before they get rid of me.
I wanted to ask Drew yesterday, but I didn't know how to word it. And I thought this was going to be a phenomenal quote, but I just didn't know how to ask him and be appropriate. So that's why I say all this hard shit for you. Yeah. I was gonna be like, Drew, if scouts had the same, like if their job had the same life cycle that coaches do,
yeah,
would teams draft better?
You're saying because the Cowboys have had the same scouts.
The same scouts forever.
Forever.
But if I get fired for bad picks, do you think scouts would scout better? Or do you think
hell yes,
these picks would,
yes,
you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Because if I'm a scout, I'm going to be here longer than these coaches.
Tom Dimitroff, I had a chance when I left, my contract ran out in 2005, and Tommy got the job in Atlanta, Tommy Dimitroff. Mm-hmm. Tommy and I are good friends. And Tommy said, he's like, hey, I want to hire you. But our owner, Arthur Blank, wants to keep these scouts because he was paying them under contract. Mm-hmm. He was paying them under contract. And I'm like, oh, that's good. Keep scouts around for $65,000, $70,000 that are making $5 million worth of mistakes. Yeah. That's stupid. But to me, yeah, there needs to be a checks and balances of, listen, you're not doing your job. But to your point, if scouts knew, and scouts are on like 2-year deals.
Yeah.
But what happens is GMs feel comfortable with these guys.
Sure.
They feel comfortable and they're like, oh, I know what I'm getting from this guy. And a lot of departments have turned into just information gatherers. Mm-hmm. When we were in Green Bay, John Dorsey, Scott McLuhan, John Snyder, Reggie McKenzie, these guys were all general man. They all scouted, and they had opinions. Today we're doing what the Jacksonville's doing. We're not going to do this. We're not going to, we're just gathering information. How about an evaluation? How about an evaluation of what is going on? I want to hear your opinion, Voch, on the West Coast. I want to hear your opinion. Yeah. There's a lot of teams nowadays that just say, hey, bring me the information. When did he play? And somebody else will make the decision.
Yeah.
That might be why teams are starting to really suck at scouting. Yeah. Because they're not training their scouts or trusting their scouts. Mm-hmm. But they're also keeping scouts around 2 to 3 years longer than they should.
Yeah.
If you're constantly missing on players and it's your team and you suck at drafting, like Voch likes to say, you need to do something different.
This ain't me poo-pooing on the scouts, man, but I just,
No.
I'm just curious, man.
Scout, but I'll tell you one thing, that the Cowboys have had the same scouts. Mm-hmm. And what's kind of interesting is we don't see their scouts getting interviewed for these jobs.
For the new jobs, for like these,
Yeah. We don't see, and this sounds horrible.
Like I'll grab you to come be a GM somewhere else.
And I don't know. I don't know if it's because they're not getting promoted, but it's just But listen, Dallas has some quality scouts, but you never hear. The only time we hear about them is when you and I get to interview them on day 3.
Yeah.
But we're not seeing scouts getting interviewed for general managers' jobs here and stuff.
Yeah.
And I wonder why.
That's
I
interesting.
wonder why.
That's interesting. All right, first, that's fantastic conversation. We were supposed to get into your game 10 minutes ago.
Yeah.
But I felt like we had a good little.
Oh, you could get through this.
Yeah, we're gonna
get through this. We'll get through this.
Also, too, Brian, can I send somebody to your office to grab that plaque so I can shout my man Fred out?
Sure. I hung it up.
It's hung. Okay, cool.
Yeah, I hung it up.
We'll figure it out, but I want to shout.
Yeah,
Fred out.
I'll tell you. We can go get that. Yeah,
Cool.
Somebody will grab it for us.
Cool. Go ahead.
Okay, let's go with we're talking about this is our game. This is our game called on paper.
On paper.
And this is the defensive version of it.
Yes, sir.
Okay, now I've got to kind of play with it a little bit to get it right, like for the edges and the linebackers. So we got to play with it. So just bear with me a little bit here.
We got you.
All right, let's go with the Cowboys defensive end. We're going to go with Rashad Gary and Donovan Ezerako.
Okay.
We're going to call those our edges.
There you go.
Okay. I have to play with it a little bit here. With the Giants, we got Abdul Carter and we got Brian Burns.
Damn, boy, they got so much depth over there. But yeah, I got you.
Okay, we got Jonathan Grenard, Philly, and Jalix Hunt with the Eagles.
Okay. Appreciate that.
And then with Washington, we got Odafe Owe, and we got Chason. Le'Veon Chason is who we got.
Is Washington going to be ass this year, Brian?
I don't know.
Because they was last in everything on.
They might be the one thing that we kind of there's certain positions that they are quality at, but let's run through that. Carter, Burns, Grenard, Hunt, Owe, Chason. That would be the Giants, the Eagles, and the Commanders.
Let's just get this off the rip. The Giants have to be first, right? As far as edge guys.
I would say so too, because what I had to do was think about Orville Reese as a linebacker, right? Are you thinking about him as an edge? You know, he could be. I think you have to put him in the linebacker category right now.
Yeah, he's a versatile do everything guy.
Okay, so and then we got Thibodeau there too.
Yeah. Do you think they move him or they just keep three rushers over there? It would just make sense to just keep the waves of guys.
Keep the waves of guys.
Yeah, Thibodeau I don't think he costs a bunch of money. Right?
No.
Yeah, just keep him.
He was the second overall pick.
Yeah, so he probably does make some decent edge money to be the third guy. So I don't know. They'll figure it out though. But
Carter, Burns, Bernard, Hunt, Owe, Chason, compared to Gary and Ezeraku.
It has to be Giants first.
Yeah.
You know, Owe is interesting because he was a big name in free agency.
Right.
But, you know, Stephen Jones always talks about how free agency kind of inflates guys a little bit. Owe was still like a third rusher coming off the bench where he was. Decent year, though. Chason, another solid guy, but not really.
Played a lot better, yeah.
Not really.
Kind of found his career again.
I do think Grenard.
I like
in Philly.
Grenard.
I think Grenard's a really good player.
Mm-hmm.
Hunt is a solid guy.
Right.
Really good versus the run. Can get some pass rush, but he's, solid run guy. I would say Giants first.
Okay.
Eagles second. And this all depends on how much Ezeraku advances.
Right.
If we get crazy growth out of Donovan Ezeraku,
they could be competing with Philadelphia there.
They could easily be clear 2 working on 1. Easily. Yeah. But it's just we don't know who Donovan Ezeraku is right now. But to be fair, Cowboys 3 and Washington looks like an easy 4 to me.
Defensive tackle. I went with Quinnen Williams and Kenny Clark.
Sure.
Giants will throw at you DJ Reader, Shelby Harris.
Okay.
Philadelphia will throw at you Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter. Commanders will throw Tim Settle and Deron Payne.
Tim Settle in the league still?
Yeah, still battling.
Shouts out to Tim Settle. So this is either Cowboys or Eagles first.
Right.
Depends on who you value. And it's interesting because those guys, they're all used differently.
Right.
And the schemes are going to be similar. So that's
right.
That's the
I had to kind of fudge it a little bit on some of these just to kind of get them the matchups what they are.
Carter does indeed have the youth and the upside to him.
Sure.
I would say Quinnen got the consistency though, huh?
Sure.
There's an argument Quinn is the best in the league at what he does.
Right.
But you can then say that Jordan Davis is probably better at what he does than Kenny Clark.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Let's just say it's a wash between Quinnen and Carter.
Yeah.
And I'll say Jordan Davis is better than Kenny Clark.
So you're going to go Philly on a slight.
I'm going to go Philly first, right?
Yeah.
Tim Settle really bumps Washington down for me.
Sure.
As the Giants, we watch film on the Giants every year.
Yeah. They just lost maybe the best one.
They just, like, losing Dexter just helps us immensely.
Sure.
Now, DJ Reader can't play.
He can't play.
Because we've been watching DJ Reader.
Yeah.
He was with the Lions and the Bengals, I believe, or something like that. I feel like we keep running.
We're always running him, yeah.
And he keep kicking our ass. But Tim Settle doesn't inspire fear in me, and the Cowboys were able to run the ball on Washington whenever they wanted to. So I would put Washington last.
Okay.
So cool. Let's go. Eagles first.
Right.
Cowboys second. Giants third. Deron Payne's still nice, though.
Yeah.
Deron Payne's still nice. So it's Payne and Settle versus Reader and Shelby. Let's go Commanders third, Wizards third, Giants fourth.
Okay.
Giants fourth. Giants really got rid of probably the
best one.
The best dude at the spot.
Linebacker. Mm-hmm. I went with DeMarvion Overshown, D. Winters as your Cowboys. So now the Giants have Arvell Reese, Tremaine Edmonds. Philadelphia goes with Zach Bond and Jahad Campbell.
Yeah.
And Washington goes with Leo Chenal and Sonny Styles.
Ain't this an interesting look?
And Frankie Louvu's in that mix somewhere there if you think about Frankie Louvu.
Louvu will be moving around.
Yeah.
Ain't this a fascinating group, Brian?
You might be in trouble on this one.
With the Cowboys?
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's go down it. I like Overshown a bunch when he's healthy. Let's assume everybody's healthy. Assuming is a boy.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna look at camera for. I'm not gonna look at. Yeah. I'm looking at. We can't assume a damn thing. Put us back on split. Assuming Overshown to be healthy. Let's just assume. I do like D. Winters' film.
I do too.
D. Winters got some good film.
I do too.
Zach Bond makes a ton of plays. Jahad Campbell had a pretty good season when he stepped up and took over and whatnot when our man's got hurt.
Georgia guy.
Why don't know? Dean.
When Dean got
the
Raiders, yeah.
When Dean got hurt.
When you play this game, we have to remember it. Your level of not remembering affects my level of not remembering. If we didn't say it, I would automatically say Nakobe Dean. But then you show uncertainty, and I'm like, okay, why is he
now we all stuck.
Now we're all stuck.
If we had a national show where we talked about everybody more often,
you doubt, yeah.
We're so locked in Cowboys, though.
Yeah.
I do think Reese and Tremaine is an interesting combo.
Yeah.
Tremaine kind of fell off a little bit. Mm-hmm. For what he was a little expensive, and I do expect big things out of Reese, but we don't know who Reese is.
Yeah.
Sonny, Leo's a solid player, not really gonna explode or anything like that. Sonny, we don't know who Sonny is, but
we like Sonny and Reese.
We like Sonny.
Yeah.
We like Sonny. So let's do this, Brian. Let's go Bond and Campbell first.
Okay.
With the Eagles.
I think so.
We'll go Eagles first. Bond makes a ton of plays. And look, Bond ain't even got an athletic profile that's all that impressive, but he makes a shit ton of plays.
Yeah.
And the opposite is Jahad Campbell's athletic profile is ridiculous. Yeah. But you got to figure it all out still. But I'll go Eagles first with Bond and Campbell.
Right.
I don't want to be a coward here, Brian.
I don't think I could put the Cowboys second in this group.
I don't want to be a coward. You know what? Leo Chenal makes a bunch of plays.
That's what I'm saying.
And Styles has the upside. Leo is steady.
Yeah.
And Styles has the athleticism to learn on the fly.
Yeah.
I'll go Commanders second.
Yeah.
Washington Football Wizards, they're not Commanders.
Yeah.
Wizards second. I'll go Giants third.
Yeah.
Cowboys fourth.
Yeah. I agree.
Now, if D. Winters gets here and this system helps him and the front allows him to play better, cool. If Overshown is healthy and he gives us that, I'm playing the Eagles and I got 10 tackles, an interception, and 2 sacks, he give us that, Cowboys could easily be.
Tell me you need to add another linebacker, right?
We do.
Okay.
If you go and call Miami and go get that guy, or even if you pick up the phone for Bobby Wagner, this will be a different conversation.
So Dallas clearly fourth in this group. Not clearly.
I wouldn't say clearly.
Not clearly, but Dallas trending fourth chance to get better if Overshown's health and D Winters is who we think D Winters.
The level of uncertainty with the Cowboys is why. Because we really don't know who Winters is as a full-time guy. He played 17 games. Do it again. You know what I'm saying? Yep. And Overshown, he got healthy at the end of the season, still looked a little weird. Will he bounce back from that?
Okay.
We just got a bunch of question marks.
Cornerbacks. All right, you tell me the path you want to go here.
Okay.
Do you want to go Bland and Durant, or do you want to go Bland and Ravel?
I think Durant's your best corner.
Okay.
And I think
let's go with
Bland's making the money. So
let's go Bland and Durant here then. Okay, go ahead.
Bland and Durant.
And it's Paulson Adebo with Colton Hood. Colton Hood, we're talking about the Giants, and Greg Newsome. So take your path there. You want to go Colton Hood and Greg Newsome? You want to go Paulson Adebo and Greg Newsome? You tell me your path.
Paulson, Newsome. They're probably going to use all those guys, huh?
They will, but as far as the two, give me your top two on that.
It's probably going to be Hood and Newsome, right?
Okay, let's go with, so then now that turns into Newsome and Hood for the Giants. Okay. Quinton Mitchell. Reek Woolen is now in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
But do you want to go with Cooper DeJean so you want to go Mitchell and DeJean?
Eagles going to be first. It don't even matter. But let's go Mitchell and Woolen.
Okay.
Because Cooper DeJean is like a hybrid.
Yeah, okay, there you go. Okay. Yep. And then you're going to go with Trey Amos and Mike Sanderstrom.
Oh, we're going to beat the shit out the Wizards. All right, cool. So how about this? Let's go Wizards last.
Wizards last.
Eagles first.
Eagles first.
I just think Reek Woolen and Mitchell is all going to work out for them.
Yeah.
The pass rush is also going to help those guys out. Sanders still, we saw what the Cowboys did picking on them guys last year.
So you have him last for.
And Sanders still was having a bad year.
Yeah.
They kind of caught up to him in general. So we'll just keep that there. And Trey Amos, beating the shot Trey Amos too. So it's so Cowboys and Giants are fighting for second place.
Right.
Did you when you did this exercise, Brian? Did you come away thinking that the Giants were a little better on defense than you initially thought?
I thought that they were yes, I did.
I'm looking at their depth chart.
I did, and I think if they could have made all these moves and kept Dexter Lawrence,
oh goodness,
it would have been better. But I think where they're struggling is they're good in the front seven and bad on the back end, maybe. Mm-hmm. We'll see what happens with Hood.
We'll see what happens.
Hood, yeah.
So it's Bland and Durant versus Newsome and Hood.
Right.
I like Newsome a lot.
Yeah.
I like Newsome, and I really wanted Hood here.
Yeah, so you have to give them,
to be fair,
a nod.
There's some uncertainty around Bland. So I'll go Eagles first.
Yep.
Giants second.
Right.
Cowboys, Washington fourth.
Okay. I think you got that right.
Do you have a nickel section? And
no, I went 2 and 2.
Okay, safety, cool.
But I'm about to get the safety. I'm about to add my guy because I told you I had to kind of manipulate some.
Are you going to go 3 safeties like with the?
I'm going to go 2, but I'm going to manipulate it in the right way here.
Okay, we'll work on it.
Just to give you an idea. Dallas is going to throw Jalen Thompson and Caleb Downs at you.
That's a hell of a group.
The Giants are going to throw Tyler Nubin and Javon Holland. Miami Dolphins.
Holland can play. Okay.
Philly's going to throw. This is where Philly is, I think, really going to struggle. Mm-hmm. Marcus Epps and Andrew Makuba. We like Makuba. I don't know that much about Epps. I don't know that much about Epps. I need to learn about Epps. I really do like Makuba.
I like Makuba a bunch.
The Commanders are going to go with Nick Cross, who they got from the Saints, and Will Harris. That's their safeties.
You know, the Washington team is the reason why I feel really good about our schedule. You know what I'm saying?
Because you get to play them twice.
I'm like, man, where are the bad teams at for us? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. We got these boys here. All right, and look, it sounds like I'm beating up on Washington, man, but y'all did it to yourself. Let's put Washington last, okay?
Okay.
Let's just put Washington last.
So Washington overall in the division, we think it kind of right now our initial offense, defense, talent poor.
Looking fourth.
Yeah.
Looking like fourth.
Yeah.
I just don't think that they did enough. Javon Holland can really play. Nubin is good in the box, but he can't be taken advantage of in the passing game. That's the conversation about him. Makuba's nice. We're not adding DeJean in this safety conversation.
Right.
I think you can go find Epps, though. I think you can find Epps. I don't think they've been right at that safety spot since Chauncey and Maddox. Yeah. Because Maddox was playing some decent ball for him at one point. Epps, knock yourself out, player. Be you. I think the Cowboys probably got one of the better safety rooms in the whole league.
Okay.
Honestly.
Okay.
And this might be the only thing we can say this about.
Sure.
Safety and D tackle or whatever. So I'll go Cowboys edging first.
Okay.
But you know what, Brian? Andrew McCool ain't make no all pros like Holland did.
Yeah.
I think Holland's an all Pro Bowl guy. He's one. Holland can play.
Yeah.
Holland can play. Both teams kind of got it. Eagles and the Giants both got a guy that's really good at free and that's weird in the box, but Holland's the much better, much more proven guy. So I'll go Giants second.
Okay.
Eagles third.
Okay.
And look, Nick Cross is...
Nick Cross and Will Harris.
I think Nick Cross would be better if he had a better surrounding cast, but he don't.
Right.
He actually has the worst support cast out of all these guys. And get Will Harris. Get Will Harris up out of here.
So you feel like Dallas defensively can match up within the division. The question you have, like we all have, is the linebackers.
The question is the linebackers. If you go and get I think everybody's biggest concern right now is you just want a little certainty at linebacker and you want a little depth at pass rusher.
Right.
I think we can live with the big three.
Yeah.
Names wise at pass rusher, Gary Ezeraku and Lawrence, we can live with those guys. James Houston being like a designated pass rush dude. He's not really asked him to do run stuff very much. Sam gonna have to do something in camp for me to speak with him, speak on him with more confidence. But I think if the Cowboys added Bosa, Miller, Jordan, Clowney, one more guy, I think we would feel really good about pass rush.
I think they're gonna add a guy before when we break on that June 16th or so. I think before we get to camp, there'll be that 1 month period, maybe about 5 weeks, 6 weeks. I think they're going to add a linebacker, I do. I really, really do.
And of course, when we get to the season, if they're not having positive results, they always have room to go send a pick somewhere.
Absolutely.
They always do that.
Yep.
I would just love for them to do that early.
Yep.
So we can have them in camp. And
I think they will. They're going to look at their group and their opportunities. One of these linebackers is, whether it's a trade or it's we want to sign a guy, someone's going to want to say, hey, we'll come in and play for a 1-year deal, and hopefully it's like an Eric Kendricks kind of guy, that comes in and plays 1 year at a high level for you.
I would really hope that they go get Josh Sweat from what's the name, because he was a conversation we was having. It was him and like Grenard that we were talking about. Grenard,
I like Grenard. I really did like Grenard a lot.
We liked him a lot. I think two threes and a full contract was a lot for him.
Yeah.
But Josh Sweat, familiar with the assistant, the passing game coordinator, Ryan, and he was with CP a little bit with the Eagles or whatnot.
Sure.
Very familiar with him.
Sure.
Or just go with one of the 3 old cats that we just mentioned.
Yeah.
I think the Cowboys got a lot of room to grow there. Hey, man. Shouts out to my man Fred, man. Cuts by this? Jones, man. My man Fred on Twitter. He made one for me and Brian. Cut it out, you know what I'm saying? The doing all right play. Is this a plaque? A cut?
I would say it hangs on my wall, and thank you so much for that. When you FaceTime me, I saw it, I'm like, man, that is super cool.
Yeah.
But when you actually hold it, it's of course it's what's it called when it's like extended. It comes out at you.
Perforated.
There's a word for that. There's a really 3D. Is it 3D?
It ain't that.
There's another word.
It's a more technical word.
There's a more technical word, but I'll tell you what, the quality of
protruding. It protrudes.
We're going down a weird path.
Well, that's
right
other things.
Yeah,
Hey, don't put me on phone. I ain't asked to be on phone. But yeah.
But I really do appreciate that is some quality quality craftsmanship there.
Cuts by Jones, man.
Yeah.
Shouts out my man Fred. Y'all follow him on Twitter. He's very active on Twitter.
Yeah.
Very active on Instagram. Shouts out to my girl Kimmy too, man. She cool as hell. She watch all the shows, man.
Yeah.
So hey, man,
Yeah.
this is Brian's. Mine is at the mothership. I'm gonna hang mine up too in my office somewhere. And
Really appreciate
Fred. Appreciate you, bro.
He does a lot of work. He does work. You can hire him to do stuff like this.
You can send Fred some bread and he'll cut a logo out for you. He'll cut.
I'll tell you what,
something out
that's a great, that was very, very thoughtful of him. Thank you.
Shouts out to our guy Fred, man. Cuts by Jones. Hey, man. We appreciate y'all for tapping in with us here at the Doing All Right. Do we have a guest for Friday?
Working on that.
We'll talk about it. You know what I'm saying?
Working on that.
Hey, look, we ain't because sometimes I don't even be working.
Well, tomorrow's Thursday.
Tomorrow's Thursday.
Yeah.
But we talked about Thursday.
Yeah.
So if what we talked about is happening Thursday, that thing would have to be Friday if it happens.
Got you.
And if it ain't happening Friday,
As you notice, we could do these shows on the fly.
Yeah,
It drives Zach and everybody in the back nuts.
Maybe all right. Look, I heard that on the stack you guys have like a plan. And
We try.
Hey, you guys put it out.
We try.
You guys produce. Voch don't do that, boy. We just show up. I sit on the couch and I go, Brian, what you want to talk about today? And we figure
And it drives Zach and our guys. It drives Zach and Jacob a little nuts. But
hey, man, we are the number one podcast for a reason. So this shit works. Look.
it's
some other cats have plans, and you know.
We could have a sheet. We could have a sheet with all it on it.
Don't even use it. Don't worry about it. But we appreciate y'all for tapping.
They hate us in the back. You know that.
They'll be fine.
They hate us in the back.
Oh, Brian, that rent due.
Exactly.
And when that rent due, boy, you just put up with shit, don't you?
Amen to that.
If you're looking for anything.
Real quick, speaking of you just dropping an S-bomb on us there.
What'd I say?
Real quick.
My bad.
I told Drew that before the show, hey, you could cuss on air. I didn't know he was going to just like.
He lit it up, boy.
He lit it up a couple times. I'm like going. I hope we don't get like marked for this. Yeah, I hope we don't lose something because my man's dropping F-bombs on the air.
People didn't complain, but I saw one guy in the chat go, yo, there's a lot of cussing going on.
Yeah, my apologies. I did tell Drew, I go, you can't cuss because some of these podcasts now, these guys that do NBA podcasts and stuff, when they do actual interviews like during a game, they're dropping like they're on a podcast. And then now we're getting a lot more,
Let me tell you the best part about that.
I know you were trying to end the show.
No, it's cool. Drew was he cussed, but he tried to censor his F-bombs, right?
Yeah, he wanted.
So he was like flipping.
Yeah, he wanted F-bomb.
The kid can flip and play him, and boy, we got to the end.
Exactly. Yeah.
He let him fly. He couldn't even censor himself too long. But hey, Voch, man, I am so curious. Voch, where can I find? Yo, Voch, I was looking for where can I find that?
Yeah.
Hey, man, whatever you feel that blank in with is on crownglobalmedia.com. You want some garments with whatever logo you want. It's up there, the clips page, all the other work that we do. When we draft next year, the next year draft stuff going to be up there. All right, so crownglobalmedia.com is where you find everything. He's Crown Global Media on Twitter.
Still.
And I'm Voch Lombardi. We'll catch y'all tomorrow with some more hot fire, all right? Crown.